Hey, greetings everybody. Keith here again. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Wanted to come to you today and talk to you about the Postal Service contacts that I've been making in the last couple of months to try to take care of a statement of services for a cable bill, a supposed cable bill. It says on it it's a statement of services. And so that's a process of service. Okay. They're sending it to us, and as a benefactor to it, we get to place supplemental records or supplemental facts to it. And in so doing, we used a Postal Service Form 6387 to try to do so under UCC 3-311, accommodation by use of instrument. Noting that we are not issuing the instrument, somebody else issued it to us and we're just using it. And as the holder of the instrument, we get to enforce it because the people that are named or the entities that are named on the instrument express a trust. And the only place for us to put ourselves on that document is as a benefactor. So let's take a look at the first scripture I'm going to point out to you, and that is Isaiah 22:22. And the key of the house of David will I lay upon his shoulder, so he shall open and no one shall shut, and he shall shut and no one shall open. Now, I explained about this in the relationship I have with the PayPal services and how they wouldn't allow me to receive donations through a new donation button that I created because there was no connected bank account. And so in my research and continuing up to follow up with actions, I gave them a directive to just open the old bank account that I had under US Bank. And with that information, they opened up that old bank account. Now, when you open a bank account, there's a thing known as an asset that the bank receives. And a lot of people think that's a material asset. And in fact, it's a copyright issue in regards to the name. The name is actually interpreted and used as an asset. So as long as you open an account in that name, the bank has no right to close it unless they give that account back to you, that name. So as long as they hold records, that proves that that bank still has your financial asset known as intellectual property, the name, in their records. They are holding that. They're supposed to give those assets back. This is proof that they don't. When I went in and directed them to open up that old bank account without having a deposit of any sort, without having to talk to the bank at any point whatsoever. Same thing if I go into a bank and want to cash a check or money order written out to me. I can go to one of the local banks and just simply give them the name along with the PIN number to the old bank account. No identification needed. They are holding the identified person. It's merely a record. So when I started this claim process on the phone, and before I get to that, I'll go back to the actual contacts that I first started. But when I first started the service request on the phone, they opened up an accounting of my service request. Okay. That's separate from any other account that I have. And then I made sure at the end of the accounting that they connected it to the postal trust account that I do have. So back to the contacts. When I first took this form down to the post office on the 11th of last month, the lady that I spoke to, Kim, did not know the form. And no one that I've spoken to yet to this day has not known about this form. And so in not knowing, she insisted that she wasn't going to let me use it, that I needed to use a postal money order and not a rural money order. Well, the postal money order is a domestic money order of the United States, creating a debit in the United States. And that's the way their system is set up. It will only accept cash or debit. But that's on the administrative side. See, that's a judicial determination that's already been made before. It's a predetermined classification. And they go by a certain set of standards. One of those set of standards is the enumeration at birth. That helps operate you in their system as an agent, allowed to use Federal Reserve notes and transfer them from one agent to another as an advance for that financial institution known as a Federal Reserve institution. And that's a Federal Reserve note, a reserve currency, and not a national currency. So she refused to educate herself, told me she was not going to educate herself. So that's when I started the phone service request. And so they opened an account, like I said. And then I also emailed the Board of Governors at the same time. And at the same time, I was expecting to get an email because I did give Kim the email number or email address to have her manager contact me about this to resolve it. And of course, I never received an email. I never received anything back from the Board of Governors. But of course, the service request that I made online or on phone, by the phone, that was a circus. That was a circus, just like PayPal. I went through several people just handing me over to somebody else that knew nothing about what was going on and insisting, well, I don't know what's going on, so here, talk to him. Well, I'm not familiar with that form either. I don't know why they sent you here. Here, let me send you here. Well, I don't know anything about that form. I don't know why they sent you here. Here, go here. Finally, after speaking to 4 people, the first one was Linnell in the first call, and then I attempted the second time. I went down and I spoke to the acting postmaster, and that was Michael DeWall, and he was a very likable guy. I'll put it that way. He was very concerned about what was going on, it seemed, and was at least at what I could see willing to do a little research and resolve the situation. And that was noticeable by his actions, because right there at the counter, he said, well, if that's the way you say it's supposed to work, then our system should accept this number. Let me go check it. Well, when he got to the system and all of a sudden realized, wait a minute, the place where I'm supposed to enter a number like this would be here, and it's grayed out now. So he has experience of entering a number in that block, but now evidently there's some new postal regulation that changed things, and that's where it's grayed out. So I had to come back and get online again, and then we went through 3 more people, 2 of which just wanted to insist on send me to someone else, and then the third one hung up on me. Just straight up hung up on me. This is the competence of these people that we're dealing with. Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. And this is particular in their codes and definitions, which when I get on and do another video on it tonight, 8 o'clock, I'll be there. We'll go over the definition of competencies. And I'm the only one that seems to be competent in all these communications, because they all don't know what their own form says. They don't know how to interpret the form. Thank God Michael was willing to accept that, yeah, that does seem right. And then when I finally did call back again after Tim hung up on me, I called back and got a hold of Simone. And Simone was really there. So this is what gave me the result of why things are not working right for me. Because I'm not communicating with the right people, obviously, and I'm not communicating with them in the right way. So through the Postal Service, And of course, through my PayPal communications and IRS communications that have all been electronic form so far, while I've been talking about the definitive paper form can't be denied, that's actually the form we're supposed to be using. So at the end of the call, she gave me the proper address and routing extensions as far as the zip code was and the titles and everything. So we're talking to the Board of Governors again, but we're doing the definitive paper communication instead of the electronic email. They don't deal with those. That goes to subordinates. And if the subordinate doesn't think it's important enough, oh well. But if you write it in definitive paper form, it gets to them, and that's important. It's been imported through a process of service that is accurate. Accurate. CU, copper. 1/10. One tenth of a penny is 1,000. That's a mill. That's what the millage rates are. That's what the consideration is. Con, with, side, rate. Considerate. All contracts are supposed to have equal consideration. So they're supposed to have the two rates, and they're supposed to meet in the middle. So there's one rate. If you're accepting a false rate at 1 mil, they're not double dipping. They're giving you 1 mil, 1/1000th, and they're taking the other 999. Is everything upside down and backwards? So if you turn 999 upside down and backwards, it turns out to be 666. Is that the yearly wage? Do they literally take your yearly wage and then tell you how much taxes you owe on it? So think about this stuff, folks. So let's talk about the email communication finally, as it relates to the opening and closing of accounts. Because like I said, I made the first call to a Linnell, and that was when the service account was open. Well, then when I got done with the call, evidently it's a resolved situation is the way they record it. So when I called the second time after the second attempt, and I first tried to get into the system, it wouldn't let me use that service request number. So I had to go through all this chain of trying to figure out how to get into a agent again. Now you can only hope I remembered. I didn't take notes at that point. And finally I got through, and they opened another accounting. Now remember, I said I wanted that last one attached to my trust account. Well, that evidently didn't happen either. So though Linnell was nice and appreciative and kind and courteous and seemed smart and all that, didn't really do her job like she was supposed to. So this time I had to, like I said, Simone is really there. She was with it. And I had to explain to Simone my intent in connecting those two accounts, and that I have, in fact, a right to connect those accounts. They both have my name on them. You're not going to just dismiss my communication. This is part of the administrative process. Keeping records. You don't allow them to dismiss an accounting that you create. So at the end of the call, I expressed this to her, and she said, fine. And so this is what we got. This email confirms we have reopened and escalated your service request with U.S. Postal Service. And notice it's the registered agent. Notice it's registered agent up here too. Service request, and then they gave me the ID number. And whereas before it was 533-37471, now it's this number. Subject, reopened service request. So I have the record of the original service request ID that will correlate to the one that was reopened. And so these should both be attached, and it's now attached to my trust account. Thank you for bringing this to our attention and your patience while we revisit this matter. Please accept our apology for any frustration and inconvenience caused. Sincerely, your United States Postal Service. Your privacy is important to us. If you would like additional information on our privacy policy, please visit us online. Thank you again for bringing this to our attention and your patience while we revisit this matter. And then there's a reference number. Okay, this part right here. If you would like additional information on our privacy policy, the United States Postal Service operates through United States Post Office and all of the various different post offices throughout those states that have ceded their jurisdiction to the United States. Those post offices are, in fact, on and for the record, inland marine installations. So their privacy policy is relative to the military. It is a military privacy. Private first class. That's what you do, or that's what you're classified as when you enter the military. Private first class, I believe. And you seemingly move up in rank. In doing so, you move farther away from that privacy. Particularly in the civilian service. So let's go on to the next one. This message lets you know that we have received your inquiry at the United States Postal Service. Inquiry. After we review and investigate the information you have provided, we will contact you and work with you until the issue is resolved. We appreciate your patience while we investigate this matter. See, now it's an investigation, folks. Okay? They're the ones that deemed this an investigation, not me. And when I spoke to Simone, I spoke to her about the full acquittance and discharge, where no person shall be held liable in any court. I also spoke this to Kimberly and Michael. Sincerely, Kimberly Hall, Waterloo Annex. So the Waterloo Post Office is an annex to the United States Post Office, just like all the other post offices. It's an annex. So it's subject to the United States Post Office, which is subject as the United States Postal Service agency of the United States, and they are all subject through the Treasury and its obligation with the United States with the Postal Service, the Post Office on the international level. This is how they contribute the domestic product as a tax, a tithe, a gift to the international forum when they meet in a postal congress every year. Those tithes go to the IMF. That IMF is a credit funding. The credit is proof that the taxes were already fucking paid. It's already been circulated. They're dipping from the credits that are created from the gross domestic product, creating a national reserve that everybody falls believing to that it belongs in their pocket because of their fucking greed. Sick stuff. The key of the house of David I will lay upon the shoulder. The key of the house of David key. To press numbered keys or other identifiers. So the numbers themselves are identifications. So when they ask you for your ID, can you give them a number in lieu of a name and address? If you can give them a number in lieu of a name and address, what is it that the number identifies? Is it the record or is it you? So think about this stuff, folks. Just more things to think about to put things in their right place. The reality of it is you are not subject to a damn thing in their code. You have to apply for it. And it's only through the application and its proper use and proper terms and conditions on it and in it that it does anything for you. If the information on it and in it are not correct, it's not going to do a damn thing for you. This is why it's called paperwork. You have to put the work into it. And if you think you can put things on a piece of paper because somebody else told you to, and that way you don't have to do the research to know what you're doing, and you can just push it on the other guy, that ain't going to work either. Coin your words or purse your lips. Every piece of paper is called money. Every piece of paper is cash in hand. All you have to do is put your rate to it. It's just like a poker game. You got a poker game going on, and it's for high stakes. You know, it's up there in the thousands. You can put a side stake out there, a side rate for $1,000,000, 1,000. It's called penny tables. So anyway, you guys know me. I love you, but I don't give a fuck whether you love me back or not. God bless. Have a great day, and we'll see you at 8 o'clock with another hour, about an hour video on the Postal Service and what I'm doing here. So see you then.